Hi, this is a introduction to Lab 3, Coulomb's Law. In this lab, you will be looking at two charged spheres. You have different trials that you can choose from. I'm going to choose the positive-positive trial. I'm going to advance this to a point where both the spheres have been charged and they start moving towards each other. And then I'm going to turn on the ruler. I'm going to place the 0 mark of the bottom of the ruler right in line with that white line across the silver sphere. Then I can advance the video and collect data points. So right now, the red sphere looks to be 34 centimeters from the silver sphere. So as you advance the sphere and change the distance between the two spheres, you'll want to record the distance between them and the resulting force. Your data chart is going to start with a force column, and forces can be measured in newtons, and so you'll record your force values in that column for every distance. And since the ruler is in centimeters, in this case it was 34 centimeters, I would have recorded 0.34 meters. So I'll have a distance column measured in meters that corresponds with the resulting force at that distance. When I make a graph of that, of force versus distance, where force is on the vertical axis and distance is on the x-axis, what I'll see is that that is not linear, and that should make sense to you because when you look at the formula that represents the relationship between F and distance r, you'll see that F is proportional to 1 over r squared. You should be, in fact, graphing and ending up with an inverse square function. To figure out whether it is truly an inverse square function, what you want to do is to linearize it. So instead of graphing force versus distance, we're going to graph force versus 1 over d squared. To create the 1 over d squared column, all you need to do is click on the empty column on the 3 dots, choose Change Formula, and enter 1 divided by distance caret 2. And any distance value will be calculated as 1 over d squared. And I will name that 1 over d squared for the column name, and the value would be 1 over meter squared, or meters to the negative 2 for units. The graph title will be force versus 1 over d squared, and I'm going to make a graph of force on the y-axis and 1 over d squared on the x-axis. And that should look linear. You can figure out if it's linear by inserting a curve fit. So for the positive, if I insert a linear function, I should see that the r value is close to 1, which means that most of the points lie on that graph. So it is indeed a linear function, and that means that f is proportional to 1 over d squared. So your graphs should be labeled with the correct name and unit. You can set that up by just setting up the columns correctly, by naming them correctly, and by typing in the correct unit for them. and then the program will create, will label the axes appropriately and name the graph appropriately. I will also be looking to see that you displayed the appropriate curve fits. So if it's a line, you need to do a linear fit, but if it's not a line, you need to do the appropriate fit for that. And then I will be looking for complete sentences, and I would like to see your data being used, or the shape of your graph, the explanation of that being used as the reason why you have made the decision that you have made. So use your graph results to support your conclusion.